Remember the Ready guys? Matt and Jess, and then Adam. You know those great guys? Those guys. I think they're so funny. Look at that. Whole front of the shop is wide open. Perfect time for me to weld on the booms on the Brute. Still got that to do. I'd really like to get that done so I don't forget about it. And then when I'm in the field and the boom falls off, you guys will be like, well, Nick, why don't you fix them? And I'll be like, oh, I forgot. That's what I do. I forget a lot. Well, let's get to it. Brute time. So this boom's 100 foot and it folds in, well, there's 4 parts to it, 4. And the center section is a lot heavier iron. It's just well built. But the second half is 25 feet here. A lot lighter iron, understandably, because they can't make it heavy. Otherwise they'd have to make that heavier over there. But the cracks on every one of these intersections, these joints, have just gotten bad over the years. And I've been plating it. As you can see, I've cut this really rough, crude metal, flat metal, and braced it, which is working great. But I didn't do one spot, and that's right here in this corner, and it's all cracked now. I'm gonna do the same thing there, clean that up. And I know there's a couple more spots along here. I gotta walk around and look, but there was a few other hairline fractures that I was noticing. So let's see if we can clean this up. This crack is almost all the way through. Leg arms thinks what I should do is just go ahead and plate from the top to the bottom, this whole piece here. So I'll scrounge around on our strap, see if I can find something that's nice and heavy, and then weld it in there solid, and that'll box that in nice and tight, fix some of those edges. And then I think this side's done, but there is some cracks on the other side that need worked on too. So if I can get this done, get it out of here, because we've got plans for this lot in front of here, and I need to free it up. And the sprayer is big and takes up a lot of space. Let's get to it. Well, I just skipped ahead. You guys don't want to get bored by all that welding, but it was a lot of grinding, welding, and patching. But it's good. I think it's solid now. The next thing I gotta do is over here on the exhaust. This is a mistake that we made from when we built Big Brute. This exhaust muffler is mounted to this fuel tank fender, but that's not enough just to hold it right here. So we ran a brace right here down to stabilize it. Well, that helps forward and aft, but what about, you know, left and right? Well, at the time, you know, you just do things. You're like, oh, we'll just brace from the exhaust frame to the cab right there, and that's great. It's held solid, except for, come thinking about it, the cab's on rubber bushings. That's not, which means that there is preventing the cab from being able to move and shake like it needs on the rubber bushings. And if the flexing this fender and the cab on bushings, something's gonna give at some point, and I wanna take care of that before it happens. So I'm gonna cut that brace off, make a new one that comes down from there to here on the corner. Might not look as clean, but you know what? It'll be effective. Let's cut it apart. There, okay, there's the old one. New one's on. We found a can of paint that, well, we thought was the right paint color. See, Big Bud color is actually not really pure white. It's an off-white, kind of more of a cream white, but you just don't know when it's out on the inside because it just looks super white. But really, when you get pure white next to it, you can see the major difference. Well, I think that might be a little lighter than what's on that Brute, but it's okay, a little dirt. It'll look just like new. I'm gonna clean up my mess, get this thing out of the way. The guys are hooking the deep ripper up to the Series 2 Big Bud. That's that zone builder. And they're gonna rip up the spots where the grain bags work, 'cause that's all packed hard from us driving on it. And we're getting really close to trying some yellow peas planting today. It's warm, the ground's ready. We're just trying to get the machines ready. We're so close. Man, those tanks are big. Oh, wow. This one's almost too big for that fifth wheel, but I think we'll make it work. Man, that looks good. So these things mount a little differently. They use a special pin setup. So we got to build brackets underneath the deck and put these pins through that then bolt down. There's no straps on these. They don't want straps. They made it very clear, no straps. Straps compromise the integrity of the tank. And the way these are gonna be bolted to this trailer, they've set stories where literally trucks have turned over, flipped over on the road going down with half tank, 3/4 tank, and the tank still stay attached and don't rip off. Pretty impressive, so we're looking forward to that. What's gonna happen is look how much deck space we have now in the middle here. So the mix mate, all this, it's gotta get all removed, and we'll figure out exactly how we want it and the plumbing, but it's gonna be sharp. It's gotta paint this trailer black now. All right, we've come to that place, that point in time where we gotta put seat inside that. The Reddy guys put a lot of work into it. Those were the guys that helped install that manifold system on the bottom, the stainless steel. That was a massive job. Well, we don't know if anything works yet because we haven't tried it yet. So we got to put seed in there to run through the system, kick the fan, and let the meters turn, see if the product goes through the whole air drill, and then we got to calibrate the system, make sure that the meters are rolling at the correct rate that they're supposed to, so that we're putting down the correct rate that we want in the ground, because there's a lot of money on the line, and we don't want to mess that up. I'm going to start that tractor up, and then we're going to get the hydraulics going, and then we're going to get that truck that's got pea seed and bring it over. This is part of the process. It's really boring. It's just a lot of running numbers back and forth and catching peas out of the bottom of this thing, so I'm not going to bore you guys, but let's just say it's not the most enjoyable thing, but once it's done, we're in business. Remember the Reddy guys? The redheaded twins, Matt and Jess, and then Adam? You know, those great guys? So wonderful, they're just awesome. And those guys, I think they're so funny. And this is why we keep green tractors off our farm, for the most part. They're problematic. Come on, guys. Not funny.
It's only fitting that we put a stainless steel flagpole from Reddy on our air drill with stainless steel.
And that flag is manufactured in the United States of America, so the others may not have been. But you know what this means, putting a flag on the air drill, right? It means we're just about there. Go time today, 3rd of April. Yeah, that'd be an early start. Looks good. And if you're wondering why we didn't put it on the very top of the cart, these carts already sit like 15 feet up there, 14 feet with the railing up, 15. And there's some low power lines and a nice stainless steel pole sticking on top of that. You know, we might end up with a little bit of a fiery flag. So we're gonna stay away from that and have it a little lower. It still looks good though.
Well, it's about time to put some yellow peas in this blue Ford. Oil is good on the engine. Everything else seems to be pretty good. We don't use this truck a whole lot, but when we do, it's nice when it starts. Come on, baby. There we go. Got it. Now let the air build up so that the brakes will release. Put some fuel in it, and we'll get some yellow peas. So here's a neat thing that I really like about this backhoe conveyor. You see that little gap underneath the bin to the conveyor? When you're unloading the peas or wheat and the wind's coming, it'll blow it up and out of the pan. Well, I can just use the hydraulics, lift the auger up, and that won't happen. Before, we would have had to stuff stuff around or try to lift the auger up. All right, let's get some peas in there.
So what's going on is there's these bearings that hold the press wheels onto the drill, and they're notorious for when they go out, the only way to change the bearing is you literally have to pull one of the press wheels off. And those press wheels just fuse, they literally almost weld themselves together. The shaft, everything, with rust and time. And this is just a process we go through every time to change these bearings. I know there's a better design out there somewhere, but this is definitely the worst part about the air drills that we have. Absolutely, hands down. Well, those threads are really chewed up. This doesn't help either, having this adapter on there. So I did just order another 2 1/4 1-inch socket.
Well,
That'll fit that impact gun, so I won't do that. Because you lose force every time you've got joints.
WD-40 on it, just
So that'll help. Hey Scott, how much are you getting paid to use that WD-40 can right now? Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, we're gonna let it sit. Got it cherry hot. He's just spraying stuff, hoping that it'll soak into the threads. And then I think we're gonna come back tomorrow.
He took a hammer and started tapping on it, and it's moving.
Yep.
That one is actually not ever moved. We've never changed it since the factory, so.
Porta potty jack, and then stuck it in between here like this, put wedges, used air instead of my muscles, and started moving just a little bit, so I got it extended out, put another piece in here, kept putting in shims, and till finally it loosened up, and I think we can walk that wheel off.
We have changed so many of these things, it's ridiculous. But what happens is it's not necessarily the bearings that fail, it's the seals, the dust caps on the sides. You know, you think about all the debris from rocks, gravel, maybe some barbed wire. If it picks it up and starts scratching it, rips it out, then all the grease starts peeling out, dirt gets in there and contaminates it and destroys it. So we're gonna go ahead and put a new pillow block with a new bearing, and then that way we clean it up, put some anti-seize on it, and then that way, if we ever have to take it off again, it'll be a lot easier the second time.
We're working on this trailer, sort of. It's more or less deciding how we want to mount this monstrous tank, which holds like a max of I think 3,300 gallons. It's rated for 32, but it says in there 33, so you know what's gonna happen. This thing pins to the trailer through these bars they've got here. You basically put bolts, I should say the pins bolt to the trailer, but we gotta build brackets on the trailer to attach the bolts to. So we're waiting on iron. Everything's closed right now. Next week we'll go make a quick trip, get some iron, and that way we can build it. And then that one there, same thing, just gotta set it up. But when that's secured and done, I gotta get a couple fittings, then I can plumb the 3-inch in correctly, move the mix mate to the front, all the shuttles go in the back, everything's great. It's that time of the year when the fishies leave the shop. And you guys are always asking, what are these fish doing in this shop? And these are Dad's koi and goldfish. And oh, and there's one swimming sideways. He's a little chunky. So it's time for these to make it back to their outside life, which is gonna be half of the year. So he's gonna drag this out, then put them in. Cannot tell you how many times we've used the winch on that Can-Am Defender. Again, a tool that you didn't have before, and you didn't realize how often you use it, and then when you have it, you use it all the time. I highly recommend, if you've got a side-by-side, get a winch on it. We definitely need some new tracks on that thing. They're coming, don't worry. We haven't quite ordered them yet, but we're getting them on there. Once spring planning's done, I think we're gonna upgrade the drive sprocket, one of the little back idler wheels, and then the tracks. It's due, it's way due.
All right, 5 1/4 Bud is ready to go. He's gonna run out to the field. He's got Kobe. Let's get this thing going and seats makers. America. Guys, I have something very, very important to say. I'm in a big Bud. You kind of guessed that probably. And 2, we're gonna start seating. I'm heading to the field right now. This is exciting. We're gonna get a lot done. Maybe not today, because it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but we're gonna get a lot done in seating. But we're heading to the field, gonna start setting the depth, and let's make this happen. Now what we gotta do is we gotta set the depth. And what I mean by depth, for those that don't understand, is each one of those shanks, we don't want it to go too far down the ground. We wanna set it where it's laying on the moisture, it's covered. We're probably like an inch at the very most down below, but we'll just kind of look at it. So what we're gonna do, start dragging it through the ground, then we'll get back out there, scratch around to see what it looks like, and we'll set the depth, and there's a stop on the back that kind of tells it what to do. So the process, what I'm doing is I'm actually gonna put a little seat down the ground. I'm gonna rake it forward, pull it in the ground. They're back there, digging around the ground. They're gonna see how deep the seat is, and then they will make the adjustments. Then I start going again, they make an adjustments, I start going again, so that way they know what's going on and they can decide what they want to do. But other than that, I basically drive and let them do the work. It's kind of nice. Huh. That's a good first day. Letting the tractor cool down, then I'll shut it off, and I'll wait for my dad to pick me up because he's shutting his off. But yeah, got a few acres seeded today. Not as many as I was but got a few. By the way, love this. This is an awesome setup. Gonna be honest, guys, I never thought we'd have this tractor as awesome as it is right now.